Okay, very good. Here we go. Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Our special guest today is Mary Hamilton from Canada. Which province, Mary?
Ontario.
Ontario. Good stuff. And we have some people online here from Canada. So we're very, very international. Kind of cool. Good stuff. So Mary, I know you're busy. I want to jump right into this and talk about some of the different things and challenges that you've had over the last couple of years in growing your business, and maybe you can help some of the agents here. So kind of give us a little Reader's Digest version, Mary, of how you started in the business, how long, that kind of stuff, how many deals.
Great. Thank you. And this is exciting. I'm thrilled to be on here. It's nice to meet all fresh faces. So I got my license 10 years ago as a second career. And I actually got my real estate license. I went to a Mike Ferry event where David Long was speaking. And I thought my best friend was a realtor, and she said, you can sell homes, but you can just do listings. And I had younger kids, and she said, you don't have to work evenings and this, that, and the other thing. And I went to this event, and I was mesmerized by the system and by the fact that it was predictable, duplicatable. And I thought, wow, if you just call people and you're okay with rejection, you can make a lot of money. So I got my real estate license, and then I joined Mike Ferry immediately. And then my first year I called Just Listed, Just Sold, because I had no sales background. I was an art graduate. I was a commercial photographer in Toronto doing very different work. So I eased in with that, and I did 12 deals from it my first year. And I thought I was a failure. I wanted to do 50 my first year out. And I still won Rookie of the Year in my little office because nobody else was prospecting. So that just gives you perspective when you do the Mike Ferry system. Even if you think you're not doing great compared to the average agent, you're still kicking butt. And then last year, my 10th year, I did personally, I closed 106 transactions. And then I have two buyer's agents. They did some production on top of that too. So yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations. So what you're saying is that you weren't even licensed at this starting off the business, happened to get involved with Mike Ferry, bought into what he was selling, the system and the strategy, and jumped into it. And so do you call that blind faith? I mean, what was it? I mean, think about what I'd like you to do is think back.
Yeah.
You came from another career.
Yeah.
All right. You heard this guy talking about making money. You didn't know him except for the person that you came with. And you bought into it, bought into the coaching, the $6,000 or $1,000 a month, whatever you were paying 10 years ago, it was $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no $600 a month 10 years ago. And let's see, 10 years ago was 2012. So in America, in the United States, we were just coming out of the recession. Did that, was there a big recession in Canada too?
No, it was very different because we have such a strict banking system and we have a lot of strict rules around real estate. We really protected ourselves from the crash and all of that. It was a pretty flat market, but it was an okay market, a normal market. So we didn't get that, but I don't know, guys. The only thing I can say, I don't know if it resonates with anyone, but it's just very common sense and it's logical. And I think I've always known that if you have a system, and I think it was also all the top producers and the people, I'm pretty good. I have an undergrad in psychology, and I think I'm good at observing when things, like reading between the lines, seeing when people really are successful. You can say you're successful, but then you can see people living the success. And I just really got like a visceral sensation that this really was a group of people that were successful, and that it wasn't a magic pill like Mike says, or it was just something where if you just work and you're consistent, then you'll get the results. That's what I kept hearing over and over again. So I think that's the main reason, Neil. What do you think?
That's great. Well, I have to tell you, clearly one of the biggest issues is mindset, and you jumped right into the mindset right away. So you got started. I'm sure you did 100% of what your coach was saying 100% of the time, right?
No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was it you did to get started? What were the one or two or three things that you did?
You think you're doing the system a lot of times, and I found in the beginning, you think you're doing more of the system than you are. And as you get more and more into the system, you realize you're not doing as much as you think. But I remember I made 42 contacts a day of just listed, just sold for about 10 months straight in my first year, just religiously. So I would say, I think I really embraced the failing while I was learning. So I would use my prospecting as a way to get better with my objection handling. And, I think the biggest shift, I was fortunate in the beginning to get, when Matthew Ferry did the NLP, I think that course, what I really grokked from that was my TSN turning point for me. And that was that I'm really just talking to people. And if I would imagine on the other line, like that person was like my sister or my brother, or just like a friend in the community. And when I really just kind of had fun with it and wanted to try and get more conversational and more engaged with people, that's when I started to really enjoy it. And I really, to this day, really do enjoy prospecting, because
Wow.
I look at it as that it's like a public service. Mike always says, you get paid in direct proportion to the service you give. That service to me is you're contributing your energy to someone else. Like, what's better in life than to just get your mindset upbeat and excited? Like, this job is just such a great excuse to just be happy in life. Like, you pump yourself up, you've got all these great people, everybody's into their mindset, and then you just pour out that positive energy to people all day. Then you get a couple of grouchy people and your tank starts to get empty, and then you take a mindset break. So I think too, like, again, the psychology of it, I think, is amazing. And then people just feed off that energy. Even if you're learning the skills and you're kind of faking it till you make it, if you just have that intention that you're there to help, people just get stuck to you. When you get away from worrying about the money or what you're going to get out of it and the success, and you just say, you know what, I'm just going to serve everybody. That was a big shift for me.
Big shift for you. Got it. So where did that come from? That came from books you read, comes from your family. Where did that come from?
I think it comes from just experience in life. What do you think? I mean, I would hear the term commission breath, and I would think, I guess it just, I don't know where that comes from. Just a realization that that people are just going to want to. It's like the law of reciprocity. You have to give somebody a value to get something of value. And what can we give?
Uh-huh.
While we're learning, well, we can give, again, just positivity to the people. I mean, you're following the script, but while you're learning your trade or your craft.
Well, I think clearly you're doing it. You're doing a great job with it. You're moving it up. So were you working that first year too? So the first year was 12 transactions. So did you double that the next year, or just have a slow climb over the next 10 years? How did that work for you?
It was pretty much, I doubled it. So I think I did 24 the next year, and then 36, and then 48. And then I stayed at that level kind of for quite a while. And then my next jump was when I really expanded my sources, and I got very much more well scripted, and I really started to follow the system. I really started to do the 7 to 10 days for every lead. I did a lot of FISBOs and expired, and I was just getting much more used to, my systems got better. And then I was just, and I did the 5-step listing process. I was pre-qualifying, like asking every question. So just fine tuning that part of it. Then I started to jump into that 70 or 80 space.
So polishing and going all the time. So did you preview property in the beginning? Did you have a good knowledge of all the real estate in your town? Were you new in your town, or did you grow up there?
And I've always moved around a fair amount. So I didn't grow up anywhere. So I never really had a big sphere or database. So I was really, and I've always really liked the idea of talking to a stranger, but making them, your friend, so to speak, because I like that idea. So, I like that. So no, I didn't have a large database. And so I really, again, just what we're doing now, the role playing and the objection handling, I think, we get trained to be just a much better scripted presenter on the presentation, so that when you are going on presentations, you're really winning them all the time, because nobody else in your market's as scripted, or at least in mine, they're not really trained to close and to just narrow it down, so that once you're out on that presentation, every objection, you can handle it, you can ask for the signature. So,
you come across very confident, and that was just a normal thing to do. However, I want you to tell me about that. Tell our group about that. It wasn't
the struggle. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it probably took me 5 years in the Mike Ferry sales system before I think I started to sound good and really had every script internalized. And I worked at it. I worked with my coaches on it. And so much of it is just getting the confidence to ask. Sometimes originally you'd leave a question out, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you open to listing it with me when I come out today? I mean, that took me 3 years to be able to say that in the beginning,
Right.
So it's always, you're learning, and you're learning that your directness, because we're so conditioned, especially us Canadians, to be so polite and so unassuming, and we're, all of that conditioning, you have to really unlearn it and realize where Mike's coming from with it, and that we're 100% professionals in that we're, like when Mike says you go to a doctor, they're not just going to write you a prescription without asking you any questions. So, and now that I get to train other people, like Neil, I really love what you do. I've got just a couple of agents that I try to train and bring into our system. I'm always giving that example. And the great thing is, you're qualifying people. They want to be qualified. And when you qualify people, and when you act professional, and when you do that, that's what you get. That's what attracts you. And I mean, you don't want unqualified people anyways. They can't pay you. So you want to scare them away. If you're direct and, friendly, you're going to repeat and affirm, and they're not going to, if you're direct, then they're motivated. They're going to love that. And if they're not, they're going to leave you. And you want that. You don't want, you want the bad leads hiding the good leads.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic. So you started without a large database. You started with conversation. I forget, did you say that you previewed property and still preview property? Talk to me about
So I didn't really a lot. I think it's an incredible idea, and I wish I had done it more. And especially if I was on a team, or if I'd had a broker like you, where I was really given a big system and support, because market knowledge is definitely one thing that upped my game too. That is definitely one thing I still see in our market. I still go, I'm with the CMA, I have all the market data. I know how to explain that. I know that there's a, 45-day supply of inventory of homes. Like, there's such basic things, guys. If you may all know it, so I'm not gonna, but if you don't, there's really 3 or 4 things you need to know for any market. And when I learned that from one of my coaches in Mike Ferry, it's just unbelievable that nobody else really does it in the market. And when you just show them that in 2 seconds, well, this is why, this is where the market's going, that they're, that market knowledge, which is part of the previewing and knowing the inventory. But I find even more so, because you can speak that language, you almost don't have to go see the house or preview anymore. Does that sort of make sense?
Well, you're right. At some point, if you're doing 100 transactions a year, and you've been doing this on and off for 10 years, you've seen, I don't know, arguably 1,500, 2,000 properties. At some point, you're right. You drive by and you say, okay, that's got a pink rug, and that's got a green rug, and that's got a, oh boy, that one's got a hole in the toilet, whatever. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the hardest things for us to do is to get agents, new and brand new agents, and agents that want to go to the next level, to learn and master the scripts, what to say and how to say it, and know their market.
Oh, these are so critical, guys. And I mean, one thing we've been, and I believe you're a big door knockers, right?
Correct.
Are you? I love it too. And well, we can't get cell phone numbers in Canada, and so we kind of have to door knock, and not a lot of people have landlines. So what I love about what you're saying is, and there's something so visceral, like, about when you're out, like, on the streets in your market, you really feel like you are a market expert. And, you know, when you're door knocking and flyering and we just sold this and that, like, it just generates the business, because it's, it is the business. And so we definitely do that. Like, my team, we've started to go out and we'll do it together. And it's very empowering, and people, we get a high response from that. So that's the previewing. And, you know, how Tony Smith would say, you know, when you're done a presentation, door knock the neighbors. Like, it's that kind of business. You must,
right.
Yeah.
For sure, absolutely. Hey, so Mary, what's one of your superpowers? What do you think makes Mary Mary?
I would say the ability to, again, meet strangers, have a really have a conversation, get what they want, make it about them, and bring them to my side. You know, which is just being really, guys, just being well scripted, just literally working the Mike Ferry script, and then putting them first, like I said, you know.
Right. So when you talk about working the script, excuse me for just a second, when you when you talk about working the script and be conversational, what you're talking about is what I refer to it as dancing with the scripts. You take a piece from one script and a piece from another script. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about practicing them so much that you internalize them. So, like, I used to be addicted to step aerobics. I used to do dance when I was younger. You get to that level where you do it every day, whatever that skill is, whether it's a sport or brushing your teeth or whatever it is that you all have in your life that you just do consistently. And then you get to this point where you're dancing. It's like you're in flow because you've just been doing it for so long. So if you do those fundamentals, and I mean, Mike says we're in an image, people and communication business. So if we're working like this, like, you know, this on our communication skills every day and talking to people, and that's just by, like I said, your prospecting is your practice. You don't have to, I mean, it's great to role play, you know, especially if you've got certain issues and you can role play them out. I still do that. I had a listing appointment last night, and my role play partner this morning, a new kind of an objection came up, and I was a little rusty, and I role played it out with him, and then I called them back and handled it. Like, I'm still doing that. But it is, I think that's our superpower, Neil. Don't you?
I mean, absolutely. Your ability to I would say the superpower, first of all, is the discipline to do that. Okay. Because most people don't take the discipline to do the practice, the drill, the rehearse. They just don't. Are you still role playing every day as a group?
Not every day. I would say I do it 2 days a week now, but I really should, because
well, only if you want to go to 200 deals.
Exactly.
You figured out how to get to 100 deals. All right. Yeah. Good for you. That is, so 100 deals in Canada. How much? I don't know. How much money is that? More or less.
For me, just me, not my guys, I made 1.25 million.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So I want to, let's shift gears for just a second. I want to talk about COVID 2020. All right. So last March, we're coming on to the second anniversary of this whole thing, where at least they shut down the United States. Did they do the same thing with Canada?
Times 10. Yes. We're very, we just got out of our fourth lockdown. So yes, it's been very strict.
Wow. So when this happened originally, and no one knew what was coming or what was going to happen or how it was going to affect us.
Yeah.
I mean, where did you go with this for your mindset?
I literally get goosebumps now. When you said that, I don't know. I get goosebumps because it reminds me, we had a market correction in 2017 because we had this investor tax and it shut the market down. It went from like 20 offers and bidding wars to like crickets, I remember. And I remember that was when I learned it. Ramona Kozak was my coach, and she said, now's your time to gain market share. Everyone else is going to freak out. And if you just do your job, you will actually grow your business. And guys, you should get so excited. And I did. I mean, I just said, I don't know. I just said, I'm going to do what she said. And I was just handling and I did. I grew my business that year. Like because, doing the opposite of what everybody else did. So when COVID hit, first of all, I'm very about free will and I just, positive mindset. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. And I knew real estate was deemed an essential service. And my broker, my owner, he's a big owner in the area. And he was, I talked to him quite a bit. I like to get the data. And I said, what are all the agents doing? And he said, well, a third of them are like literally under the covers freaking out. A third of them are sort of working. And then a third, like just partly doing a little bit. And then a third are like kind of going for it. And I think that's a liberal number. I don't think that was accurate, because that's what I did basically. Is I thought, well, it's an essential service. Whenever there's something kind of negative that happens in the media I get excited because I know like 80% of the agents are going to not work. And that's so, like you guys, where you live, there's insane competition, right? Or lots of agents.
Lots
that's
of
heaven.
agents, lots of competition.
That are part-time, or they, they're just kind of doing it. Then they get all washed out. And then people really need us. So we have more value and we get paid in direct proportion to the service. So I got very excited
very
about
cool.
it.
So
yeah.
what books are you reading? What things that you keep pouring into your head that you think are helping you?
Well, I do. I'm always I'm always watching positive YouTube videos and like from everything. I like, like Earl Nightingale, but modern stuff as well. I mean, I've done the Tony Robbins series, that kind of thing.
Cool.
I'm just, what am I reading right now? Oh, Being the Solution by Daryl Rutherford. That's one of my all-time favorites. You guys ever read that? It's incredible. What else am I reading right now? I got a whole list of books. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, guys, I'm drawing a blank, but I'll look at my book list.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So you open to taking a few questions right now?
I would love it.
All right, good stuff. Okay, Mary Hamilton, questions for Mary. Just speak up or raise your hand.
Yeah, sure. This is Tyrone. I got a question for you. You mentioned something about the 4 things that you should know about the market knowledge. And I think one was the inventory. Mm-hmm. What's the other 3?
Well, I was kind of just throwing a number out there, but what I can just share with you what I do, and then in my pre-listing package that kind of covers everything. And I know that I'm sure Neil knows it because it's been written down at many lectures. But so I do basically 4 lines on my CMA. So like, we do the comparables and stuff. And so I'll say, okay, the number of homes that are currently on the market. Right now it's like 14 instead of 200. So number of homes currently on the market, number of homes that have been sold in the last 30 days. Okay. Number of homes that came on the market in that same 30 days that were listed. And then I do the average days on market. So that's sort of, oh no, pardon me. The 4th one is, okay, number of homes on the market, number is sold in the last 30 days. Yeah, and number that came on the market. That's right. Those are it. And then I always do, average days on market to show. So what does that show you? So you're always knowing how many months supply it is. So like right now, I just did one and there were 14 homes on the market in this little town, and like 36 had sold in the last 30 days. So that's a less than 1 month supply. And I know just from knowing that anything from like that's the hottest market you can get where we are. And so then you tell them, that's, anywhere from this to, 1 month. And then how many came on in the last 30 days. That shows you whether the inventory is going to start replenishing and that it's going to, or whether it's going to go down even more. Does that make sense? And then you can see what direction it's going. And, if there's 100 homes on the market and only 25 are selling every month, well, what, our price is going to go up or down. You can just tell price direction from that all the time. And then when you start to look at them and I throw them in all my CMAs, and then I'll do a more specialized one. I'll say, okay, well, you have a 1 floor in this neighborhood with whatever feature. And then I'll get more specific with what their comparables are. And I'll say there's so many on the market, so many sold, and I do it with theirs. But when you do that, if you look at those numbers every month, within, probably about 8 months, especially in a year and a half, and it's just something you do once a month, you're going to know the market. It's so easy, right, Neil? Like there's nothing really more to it than that. Nothing. It's so basic. It's crazy.
No, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great question, Tyrone. Mary, let me ask you something. Are you naturally full of energy, or are you full of energy because the knowledge gives you the confidence?
Probably the both. Originally, I struggled, and I'm pretty hard on myself type personality, wanted to be successful really quickly, that kind of thing.
When you say you struggled, you're talking in the beginning?
Yes, in the beginning. And I remember Tony Smith said, and they had these, and I would listen to all the old Mike Ferry lectures and all the old top producers. And I remember Tony said one time, because I was like struggling, I was like, I got to break through. got to do more. And he was like, is it skills? What is more important, skills or mindset? Do you remember that question, Neil? And I just found that so profound, because I felt like I needed both, and you do. But I've always thought you need both. And Tony said, but I think mindset is the most important, because without the mindset, you won't build the skills. Right. It's your right. So it's like and then you realize that when you're up, that it gets better results, and then that becomes addictive. Kind of like exercising. When you get the endorphins going and you do it long enough, then you don't want to stop, right?
When the body's in motion, the mind will follow, right?
Yeah, that's great too. And whatever you do, is that?
Got it. Yeah. Perfect. Excellent. Good. Other questions for Mary? Here.
Mary, Fred Salas, Irvine, California. Can you tell us a little bit more in detail about your morning schedule, your morning routine, and what time do you make that first phone call?
So I make my first phone call, I consider it quite late now, 8:30. I used to start at 7:30. But the reason why I do that now is I have, like I said, some other agents, and I like to do a role play with them from 8 to 8:30. They get into the office, and then I get on the phone. And also, if I was calling more expireds, and if I had people in a market where, if you have that kind of market where the first to call gets the best results, or if you're doing that kind of, then I would probably rearrange that. But I don't find I really, lose anything from starting at 8:30. But I'm 8:30 to 11:30 every day. And then I break at 11:30 till 12, and then I talk to the agents again. And so we kind of like have a powwow before, then we prospect together, and then 11:30 to 12 we meet, and I'm saying, okay, what do you got going for today? And we kind of get each other pumped up for our afternoon appointment.
Very good. Excellent.
So you're prospecting from 8:30 to 11:30. You still doing mostly just lists or just solds, or is your database?
Oh, that's a really good point. No, I don't do any just listed, just solds anymore. I should. I'd love to. I should. But I do primarily. So then I really went into for sale by owners was my thing that I did a ton of, and then we're not really allowed to call expireds in Canada, but I find a way to kind of to get to the old ones, and because they're just amazing. I love expired, but that's primarily who I'm calling. It's for sale. So, and then I tend to call my database people later. because I guess I feel like I like that kind of like, I want to say hunter mentality, but I kind of like the new business early in the day and get you excited, and then call the clients later in the day. Or maybe some online leads that we have through our listings or things like that. That's kind of my mixture.
Okay, good. Thanks, Fred. Great question. All right, other questions for Mary? Other questions for Mary? Just speak up, please.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Robert.
So 2 questions. One, I might have missed the first one because I was taking notes here. You said you moved around a lot, so you didn't really have a database when you got there. So how did you build your database? Was it just through calls?
Yeah. Because, yeah, if you call, if you make 20 contacts a day, think about how many people you're talking to. If you're in the business talking to that many people every day, like you're getting, then you do 50 deals and 70 deals and 100 deals. These are all your past clients now. And then they know people, and then they know people, and it grows. When you prospect, you grow your business very quickly.
Very good. Very good. Cool.
Yeah.
And then the second question, I'm sorry, the second question, based on what you just said, was for sale by owners. Is there a particular script, objection handler, approach? We've heard 4 or 5 different ones on these masterminds. What's your approach to the for sale by owners?
Well, I can say it took me about 3 years to get it going, like perfect it. So I just want to say what I'm telling you might not be the same in your market. And I've had coaches from all over. Almost all my coaches have been in the US, or they've been in the South, where it's totally different market than like the Northeast here. Like we're more like a Chicago, New York type. Toronto's more like outside of Toronto, that's kind of market. So it's very different, but the fundamentals are the same. So, what I found in my market was that if I realized the main thing that for sale by owners want is they just want to net more money. They just don't believe that you're going to net them more money. And it's total BS. I mean, I've sold hundreds of them. And especially now, it's like you've got your worldview and you're walking in with your worldview. It's like whatever you thought real estate was, or whatever I thought it was in the beginning. And then what we learn years later, what it actually is. That's what they're coming in at. They don't realize, right?
Right.
So they don't realize. So my favorite one, because I think Neil had an objection handling thing coming up, but right now what I do is, because of these bidding wars, you have a similar market, right? Where very low inventory,
right.
Lots of, you're kind of underpricing and getting multiple offers.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, you're familiar with how an auction works, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been to an auction?
Yeah.
So imagine that you're in a room with yourself and there's 10 people in the room. And now imagine I'm in a room and I've got 1,000 people. Where are you going to get your better price?
Well, I guess from 1,000.
I guess, absolutely. And that's exactly why people like you hire me. I'm going to get everybody and all the agents looking at your home, bid it up, so it's going to sell for way beyond my commission. And then I'll usually give them an example, but if you don't, I just sold this home. She listed at $9.99 privately. Okay, we have it called Kijiji here, your Craigslist. She knew a lot of people in the area. The families, lived in the area for years, and she thought, okay, in this market, it can sell itself. So her highest offer was $950. We listed it. We sold it for $1,088,000 in 3 days. Yeah, she had to pay us $40,000 in commission, but so that kind of thing. And then real life example. But it's true, right? Seriously, how could they ever? There's just, unless you have 100% of the buyers, how could you possibly get the highest price? It's insane to think that, right?
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great stuff. Thank you. Good question, Robert.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
This is Betty Fernandez with Keller Williams. I was wondering, your script that you said you learned through Mike Ferry on when you're going to meet with them to take the listing. What do you say when they say, no, we're not going to sign a listing tonight because we're interviewing 2 other agents?
Yes. Well, do you pre-qualify them and ask them, are you planning on interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling the home? Are you
Yes.
asking them that
Yeah.
pre-qual?
And even though I've been referred to them, they're going to talk to 2 other people because the 2 other names came up.
Absolutely no problem. And a lot of people do get 2 or 3 opinions. That's very natural. So let me ask you, who are you meeting with? I probably know them.
Oh,
So
Sally
I try
Jones and
excellent.
Bob Smith.
And then what I do is I say, okay, great. And then, if there's something like they're out of town or there's somebody that's semi-retired, I might politely say, oh, I thought she was retired. I know, depending on what I can get away with, very like friendly. I would never do it. Or, oh, wow. Oh, are they a member of the board here? If it's an out of town agent. So I'll do a few things like that. But if I don't, then what I'll do is I'll look up their track record. And so this is what I do. So 95% of all agents sell 4 or 5 homes a year. So it's highly probable that our track record's gonna blow them out of the water. And if you don't have that individually, I bet your team does. Look at what brokerage you're with, right?
Yes.
So that's one. Let me ask you, did you want somebody who, dabbles in this or somebody who's professional, right? So you pull the track record and I bring that up at the presentation. Or if it occasionally it's a team that has 40 agents and they do like 1,000 transactions, then what I do is I look up the number of expireds. Can you do that on your MLS?
Yes.
And every time they have expired. And so I don't have any expired. So I use that. I say, well, I understand, but look at this. They had 99. So I'll have the data there.
I
had
see.
99 expireds and I don't have any. So, do you want to take a chance that it's going to sell, or do you want to be 100% certain that your home's going to sell?
Okay.
So I usually, if I can get the data, I'll use it and kind of knock them out at the presentation.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mary, that's great. That's fantastic. Mary, is there a particular script that over time you like, that when you get into that situation, it's like boom? Is there anything else that you work on? I like the last one you just did.
Anything that, like, any objection handlers that I'm working on right now that I really find are helping or that I find make a big difference? Is that what you mean?
Sure.
For me personally right now, guys, and if you want to ask any topic, I'm happy to share, but it's the getting them to sign at the presentation, actually, because like if they, I would say my potentially weakness is that I believe that you should do a good presentation and then they're just going to sign. And when they don't, and something's come up between the pre-qual, like I had this one last night, are you planning to interview more than one agent? No, Mary, you're it. We saw your sign, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. So I go in and then I'm there and I'm waiting for them to sign. And they're like, well, I know we told you, but we have one more person coming. It's their friend's son. So for me, it's that part, of getting them to, when they want to think it over, and I'm still working on ways to overcome that. But, okay, well, and I do say that, well, and I understand you want to think it over. So now, are we wanting to think it over just kind of out of that natural, you don't want to sign right away? Is that what you want? Or is there something in my presentation that's a question in your mind that I haven't covered? Because that could be it. So you want to isolate that, right? So you guys probably do that. So I'm working on that. And then if they say, oh yeah, we just want to think it over, I say, no problem. I actually have a couple of calls to make. This works really well. Do you mind? I can just go outside and then I'll come back in, and you want time to at least confirm with each other. You're a couple here, and I'll come back, and they'll almost always go, yeah. And then I come back and they go, okay, right? That's anyways, that's something I'm working on that works really well. But if it's, another objection that's come up and you can't handle it, sometimes you just have to go,
That's a winner right there. That's a real big winner.
It works very well. Yeah. Don't you think, Neil?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, you're having a conversation, and I do like the idea of sticking around and getting the signature, because I think a lot of times we'll leave in these marketplaces. And somebody just slips in right behind you and says, I can get you another $30,000. And, they're off to the races. So,
Exactly.
and you know what, in this marketplace, maybe they can. So it's that crazy going on. So as we get to start to wind up here, any last questions of Mary that you have, that you're interested in, that you need to know, that you can't live without? Any other questions? So we've got about 60, 65 people on this call. Really good stuff.
Thanks.
Mary, this has been fantastic. Please unmute yourselves, everybody. Unmute yourselves. Mary, we really appreciate your time. I know you're on your way.
Yes.
Thank you.
Una cosa
Thank
no,
you,
es
Mary.
el bono es más grande para una hamburguesa, o sea, la más chiquita.
Mary, Robert, thank you. Okay, so that's what we need to be doing. Right now, Mary, what we're going to do is we take a few minutes at the end. I don't know if you're at a hard stop or not. If you are, we understand. If you're not, then we're going to kind of go around and ask the question, what did we learn from you today? And we'll take a few minutes on that. So you're welcome to stay, or we certainly understand if you go. I want everybody to give Mary one big round of applause, though. Thank
Can
you.
we get Mary's
Round of
information?
applause.
Can we
I
get
have a
Mary's
hard
information?
stop. I have a hard stop, but I'm gonna be late for 5 minutes and listen because I would love to.
Can we get Mary's information? I have family in Canada.
Cool. Okay, yeah, we'll get it up there for you. Absolutely. Absolutely, it'll get posted. Okay, so questions. What did we learn today? What did you pick up out of this conversation that you learned today? Tess, anything popped in your head?
Well, actually, I was going to ask a question, and she's still on the call, but I had to kind of go to the bathroom. Anyway, do you have a team? Do you have a team of people? What's your team like?
That's a really good question, because part of why I can do 106 or 100 and whatever, and my goal is 150 this year, is that I do have 2 admin. Like when I get the listing signed, that's all I do. I don't do anything else. So you really do need to focus so much of your time on the prospecting and the presenting. So I have a listing manager, but I've trained her to be like basically a junior agent, so that she calls the seller. I don't even take down the data at the house. We have a property profile, and she does everything. And then she even talks to them every week, if it lasts a week, and all of that. So I would say, once you are leveraging that and you guys are so great at what you do, which is then you can do that, and you can just do a lot more of that and not have to do all the extra stuff.
Wonderful.
And then, yep. And then, so I have her, and then I have somebody that it's a lot easier in Canada to, like, deals don't fall apart and things like that. Like once it's about a 1 week period where everyone considers certain conditions, and then it's sold, and you kind of never have to think about it again. So I have it just one deal secretary, and once we negotiate the offer, she handles everything else. So that's what makes it easy for me. And then I have 2 buyers agents that work all of the buyers. I don't do anything at all with the buyers. If it's my past client, even if it was my sister, because I feel that's fair. They get all the buyers. So yeah.
Just focus on listings. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Great.
And yeah.
Good question, Tess. Good work, Mary. So what else did we learn today? What else did we learn? Let's go. Speak up.
I'll go,
Robert?
Neil. Mary, thank you. Thank you so much. When you asked the superpower, the word I wrote down was coachable, because this whole thing was as if you were just listening to a Neil Schwartz, Mike Ferry, Tony Smith, Ron Cronin. It was, if you practice the scripts, know what to say at a high level, no one else in your market does it, you'll do great. There's a direct correlation between the income you receive and the level of service you provide. You've said that 2 or 3 times. If you know the market stats, no one else does it. It's clear that she hears these messages that we all do the same meetings at, and she runs with it. And so it's coachable to me was the exact word, because this was just like listening to a Mike Ferry coaching call.
And I am. And I just want to tell you, in my market, I knew nobody in my market. We moved our family in there. And in 4 years, and I mean, my office is only 87 agents. I was the #1 agent in my office. Not because I'm smart or anything. I'm not. I'm so ordinary. No sales background. I just did what others did. And I just was this coach. And we're not, no one's perfect. Even if you're coachable and do 30% of probably Mike's system, you'd be the #1. So I just wanted to say that. You're right. You're right.
No, that's what I got out of it. That was, I'm telling you, all my coaching calls next week, I'm just going to hit play and they're all going to listen to this. That's my coaching calls next week.
On fast forward.
Yeah, that's it.
Good job. Love it. All right. What else did we learn today? What else did we learn?
I thought
Anyone
it was
else?
interesting. I'm not sure if it was her or Neil who said the PDR was that practice, drill, rehearse. I mean, it's amazing how she was saying when she started, she had another career, and yet, you started doing these things and you just practice and drilled and rehearse and practice, drill, rehearse until you get comfortable. And then there was a 5-year span. Well, for me, it's like, you know what, I'm one of those who was, you try something, and if it doesn't work, then quickly changing off to something else instead of learning how to stick to it. I need some more stick-to-itiveness, if that's a word. But, I think I can hear that in her approach and how she handles her business.
That's great. That's great. You have to be easy to start and hard to stop, Tyrone.
Yes.
Easy to start and hard to stop. Most people are very hard to stop, and a slight breeze will stop them. Right? That's people. All right? I've been doing this for 40-something years, almost 50 years. I mean, come on, guys and gals.
Yeah.
I'm an overnight wonder. I wonder all the time. Okay, what else did we learn today? Good stuff.
I like what she said about just work and it will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%.
and it will come. And that is so true. You just keep going, keep going. Sometimes there are days when you don't want to do it, just do it.
Exactly. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, good. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Very, very cool. All right, anyone else have anything they want to share before we wrap it up and turn it over to prospecting? The P word. All right. Okay, everybody.
Can we steal your for sale by owner one?
Of course. There's no
Okay.
stealing in this world. We're all in this together, people. Of course.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks going on our script list. That was a good
Robert was being nice. I already wrote it down.
Neil knows. We're all in it. Yeah.
That's right. We asked for forgiveness, not permission. All right, everybody. This is fantastic. Unmute yourselves. Let's give Mary one last round of applause.
Nice to meet you all.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. We'll send you.
Okay, take care, guys.
We'll send you a copy of when this comes out, probably Monday or Tuesday.
Nice. So nice to meet you all. Take
All
care.
right. Good job.
Likewise.
Thank
Thank you, Mary.
Bye now.
Thank you.